Welcome, everyone. So, when you hear the phrase critical thinking, what pops into your head? Do you immediately picture some dusty, boring college lecture, or maybe a super dense philosophy textbook? Well, I want you to go ahead and just wipe that image from your mind right now. Today, in this explainer, we are going to completely transform critical thinking from a dry academic buzzword into an absolute essential superpower for your everyday life. Because here is the honest truth. The opinions you hold are actively guiding your actions every single day. They're steering you toward success or failure, toward really good decisions or absolutely terrible ones, and toward empowerment or complete paralysis.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here is our roadmap for today. We're covering Section 1, Do you own your beliefs? Section 2, What is critical thinking? Section 3, Why your thinking matters. Section 4, The anatomy of an argument. And finally, Section 5, Spotting real arguments. Section 1, Do you own your beliefs? The philosophical stakes.
We're going to get a little deeply personal right off the bat here because the stakes for this are incredibly high. It's really all about your sense of intellectual autonomy. Seriously, take a second and ask yourself, if you haven't carefully chosen your beliefs, whose are they? Are you just passively renting your opinions from your parents, your peers, maybe your favorite teachers, or your social media feeds? The super uncomfortable reality is that if you aren't actively and critically evaluating what you believe, you are basically operating on someone else's programming.
Section 2, What is critical thinking? Beyond being negative. So first things first, we really need to clear up a massive misconception. Critical thinking is not just about being a critic. It's not about constantly being negative about everything you see and hear. Actually, critical thinking is defined as the systematic evaluation or formulation of beliefs by rational standards. Okay, so what does that mean in plain English? It means it's a system. It's about having distinct, reliable procedures to judge your beliefs based on how well they are supported by actual reasons. It focuses entirely on whether a belief is actually worth believing, rather than focusing on where that belief came from or who said it. I always laugh at the saying, I find it best not to trust everything I think. It's a funny little quip, but honestly, it's remarkably profound. We have to put in this critical thinking effort because it's literally one of the few tools we have to counteract the natural limitations of our own human brains. You see, we are all prone to these hidden errors in reasoning called cognitive biases. Even the absolute smartest among us can't always trust their immediate thoughts.
And this perfectly illustrates exactly what I mean by those brain limitations. It's a concept called framing. Imagine a company is going through a massive restructuring. As humans, we tend to judge the exact same facts entirely differently, depending entirely on how they are stated to us. For instance, is the company saving 300 jobs, or are there 700 layoffs? I mean, it's the exact same math, the exact same reality. But without critical thinking, this kind of framing can easily manipulate us into making incredibly bad decisions about where we invest our time, our money, or even our votes.
Section 3, Why your thinking matters. The real-world impact. So, we've looked at the internal workings of the mind, but let's shift gears to the external, real-world level. Our thinking guides our choices, right? And our choices define who we are in this world. The crucial takeaway here is this. Uncritical thinking leads to a direct loss of personal freedom. If we don't choose our beliefs carefully, we are actively giving up control over our own lives. We are essentially handing the steering wheel over to whoever can frame things the most convincingly. But it's not just about you. Imagine a student asking their geography teacher, hey, if I ever go to Japan, I'm sure the pilot will be able to find it, so why do I have to know where it is? It's a funny deflection, for sure, but it points to a very serious reality. We do not live in isolation. Parents have to make critical healthcare choices, like regarding vaccines for their children. Professionals, like lawyers, have to give sound advice to their clients. We all have to make decisions on huge shared issues like climate change. The point is, your poor thinking has a profound impact on everyone around you. And if you zoom out on a larger historical scale, the consequences are genuinely staggering. A lack of critical thinking isn't just a personal failing. When clear, careful thinking is scarce, it allows the absolute greatest tragedies of human history to flourish. Wars, massacres, holocausts, tyrannies, bigotries, epidemics, and witch hunts. These are not just random accidents of history. They are the direct, devastating historical cost of poor, uncritical thinking at a societal level. Now, some people worry that being highly logical makes you robotic. But think about flies constantly banging their heads against a screen window, totally convinced that doing the exact same thing will eventually work. Critical thinking is exactly what gets you out of that trap. It is the ultimate thinking outside the box. When you are willing to put your long-held beliefs on trial in the court of critical reason, you don't kill your creativity. You actually plant the dormant seeds of completely new possibilities and imagination. Section 4. The anatomy of an argument. Your intellectual toolkit. All right, this brings us to the climax of our explainer today. We are now going to break down the actual mechanics of how to build and deconstruct an argument. First, we really have to define what an argument actually is in the realm of logic. In everyday conversation, people use the word argument to mean a debate or a really angry, shouting exchange. But in critical thinking, an argument is completely neutral. It is simply a group of statements, where some statements, which we call premises, are intended to support another statement, which is the conclusion. It's literally just the process of providing reasons in support of a claim. Building an argument happens step by step. It starts with a claim. A claim is just a statement that asserts something is or isn't the case. Then comes the premise. The premise provides the reason, the evidence, or the grounds for believing that claim. And finally, you have the conclusion, which is what the speaker actually wants you to accept. The magical bridge that connects the premise to the conclusion is a mental process called inference. We infer the conclusion based entirely on the strength of the premises provided. Section 5. Spotting real arguments. Defense against bad logic. Now let's put this into practice. It's time to take this new toolkit into everyday life so you can actively defend yourself against bad logic. And the single most important rule to remember is this: a mere declaration of beliefs never, ever counts as an argument. I really don't care how passionately someone speaks, how loud they yell, or how confidently they type their opinion online. If their assertions lack foundational premises, meaning if they don't give you the reasons why, it is just a jumble of unsupported claims. We also have to be super careful not to confuse an argument with an explanation. Listen closely to the difference in how these two sentences function. An argument sounds like this: Adam stole the money. He was the only one with access to it. Here, I'm trying to prove that something actually happened. But an explanation sounds like this: yes, Adam stole the money, but he did it because he needed food. In that second case, I'm already assuming the truth that he stole it. I'm just telling you why it happened. Explanations aren't trying to prove the claim. They just give context. To help you spot the difference in the wild, let me give you a quick cheat sheet. Listen for indicator words that act as mental signals in a conversation. When you hear words like because, since, or given that, a premise is usually right around the corner. On the flip side, when you hear therefore, so, or consequently, brace yourself because the speaker is about to drop their conclusion and ask you to accept it. But hey, a quick warning before you go out into the world: arguments can absolutely wear disguises, and those indicator words can lie. For example, if I say, I am here because you asked me to come, I use the premise indicator word because. But that's not an argument at all. It's just an explanation of my presence. And arguments can even hide without any indicators whatsoever. Furthermore, a conclusion can sometimes be cleverly disguised as a question, so you always have to look at the structure of the thought, not just the vocabulary. As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with this final vital question. What belief are you going to put on trial today? Remember, taking a systematic look at the facts, rejecting your biases, and demanding logical premises isn't about being cynical. It is about claiming your true intellectual independence. You have the tools now. Use them well and never surrender your freedom to think for yourself. Thanks for joining me, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.